Dr. Candace Kendle is known today as a business leader with global reach for her long association with the University of Cincinnati and her literacy program, Read Aloud 15 Minutes. These accomplishments are all the more impressive considering her family history.
Her family worked in the coal mines of Kentucky. Her grandfather was a coal miner. He could not read or write. And while her grandmother could read and she read to the kids, they wanted a better life for their family. So literally one day they walked out of those coal mines and walked 350 miles to Cincinnati to get a better life for their family. And her family gave her that opportunity to have a better life, and so she worked very, very hard.
Candace attended Indian Hill High School.
Got a scholarship to the University of Cincinnati, picked up her professional degree through the College of Pharmacy.
After receiving her degree, Candace taught at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, the University of Pennsylvania, where she was the director of pharmacy at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and at her alma mater, the University of Cincinnati. In 1981, she started a small medical science consulting firm with her then business partner and now husband, Chris Bergen.
Candace started her own business, and she was really the visionary and the CEO. She was really someone who went out and sold that vision, was a great salesperson because she lived it, she believed it, and it stemmed all from her pharmaceutical background. Candace brought vision, leadership, and she brought an ability to hire and retain really good people and let them do their jobs. Candace really was very good at delegating things that needed to be done and taking on those roles where she thought she could add the most value, particularly in her selling roles outside the United States as she grew her business internationally.
Under her leadership, the company became Kendle International, a global clinical research organization.
Her talents and her intelligence has been recognized by so many others, which is why she has served on the boards of incredible companies like UPS and Heinz and Emerson.
I served with Candace on 3 public boards, and one of the things I can say about Candace, she contributed when it was necessary. She didn't say anything when it wasn't necessary. She always added value. She never subtracted value.
Outside of her business pursuits, Candace is focused on increasing literacy with her Read Aloud 15 Minutes campaign.
Her Read Aloud project has been incredibly important to her, and I think it's really resurrected her as she retired from her business life.
It's inspiring to see what she's done with Read Aloud. As an African American in this community, I love how she's attacked literacy. And not that it's just indicative to our community, but I think it's really been very beneficial.
To get books into the hands of kids, to help them learn how to read, to get them prepared for kindergarten, because she understood how important literacy was to be able to move up in the world and provide a better life for your family.
The other thing I know she cares a lot about is University of Cincinnati, both athletics and academics.
She was such a strong proponent for women's sports, getting engaged with the women's crosstown shootout between UC and XU.
And it's called the Kendle Cup, and the winner each year gets to take the trophy home. But the most beautiful part about it is that she teamed up with Bill Keating and put together a program to get students out in the underserved communities to be able to watch both basketball teams play.
She literally went to every school to make sure every ticket got into the hands of young girls so they could see those college athletes play and look at them and say, I could be them one day.
I think the other thing is at the University of Cincinnati, one of her lasting legacy is going to be the scholarships that she's created for the College of Pharmacy. I mean, she had a scholarship to come here, and she's been so passionate about putting, an endowment together to really fund, additional students to be able to have an opportunity like what she had.
I don't know anybody more caring, more giving, and more forgiving.
She's an igniter. Like she said to me, you could sit back and just let life pass you by, or you can get involved and make a difference. And hearing her talk about it even more makes me say, okay, what else can I do? How else can I be involved? And how else can I make a difference for the young people here? Because they're our future.
I think if everyone had the attitude of Candace, this world would be that much better of a place.
As you heard in the video, our next laureate has been a part of organizations from A to Z in Cincinnati. We're all better off because of that. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the founder of Kendle International and 2024 Hall of Fame laureate, Dr. Candace Kendle.
Well, thank you all very much for being here and supporting the junior achievement efforts across Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. And I want to say a special thanks to family and friends who came tonight, my son who came from Los Angeles. But it would be remiss if I didn't say that there's actually another person standing right next to me, and that's Chris Bergen. You heard that we founded the business together, we took the business public together, we took the business private together, and somewhere along the way we got married. But I don't for 1 minute think I could have done it without him and the many, many people at Kendle International who helped us build out 42 offices around the world. And also a special thanks to Bill Johnson and Liz Keating, who you heard on the video, who mean a great deal to me. Karen and Billy Hatcher intended to be with us tonight, but they have COVID. So Karen called earlier today and said, we can't come, so we will miss them, but they're in our thoughts tonight. Junior achievement has a special place in my heart. I had a younger brother, not very much younger than I am, he's gone now, but who had dyslexia, and early in his high school years, he was headed down a rocky path, and junior achievement found him. And it made all the difference in the world. So our family has a personal experience. And when George Vincent, who I don't know whether to curse or hug, asked me to do tonight, I thought, I think my days for these things are over, until he said junior achievement. And then I thought, well, for junior achievement in our city, I certainly would like to be here tonight and with you. So thank you, George. I don't know where you are, but thank you, and thank you to Junior Achievement. It really is wonderful. I mean, it's just an absolutely wonderful thing. Douglas would be very proud. I wanted to say that I fully recognize, and I'm sure the other laureates do as well, that tonight is not about us. Tonight is about the young people in our city and setting an example of how we can help them move forward. And I love the mission statement of Junior Achievement, trying to establish skill sets and mindsets that will build thriving communities, not here, just here in Southern Ohio, but all throughout our company, or all throughout, our country. So I think we were asked, and I'll be brief here, but I think we were asked, what is it, the message that you would like to pass along? And, there's not one single message that an entrepreneur can share, but I think probably for me, the message that I would like to give all the young people in our community is that making difficult decisions can require courage and bravery. And I was fortunate enough to be raised in a family where it wasn't talked about a lot, but it certainly was by example. When your grandparents walked 350 miles out of the hills of eastern Kentucky to give you a better life, you get the message right away. And another thing that my grandmother did, my grandmother was a very strong woman, as was my mother, when it wasn't popular and they had no money, they sent their eldest daughter to Berea College by horse and buggy to get a college education. It gave us a message very clear and very early on that women had a place in this world to contribute. So I want to thank my grandparents and my parents. Without them, I would be nothing. And I'll give you one more story. Some of you who are University of Cincinnati regulars might know this story, but this is an important message. When I was in undergraduate school, pharmacy was 5 years then, and my parents allowed me to live at home and really supported me while I had a couple of jobs to to add to my scholarship at the University of Cincinnati. And the way pharmacy worked then and still works is if you get out of step, you have to wait a year. So you can't take medicinal chemistry until you've taken organic chemistry, and you can't take the third quarter of medicinal chemistry until you've had the first 2 quarters. So you don't really want to get out of step. So it was important to have the tuition money. And 1 quarter, I just didn't have enough money, and my parents were not in a position to help pay my tuition. So I didn't go to class on the first day of the quarter, and I knew that it was going to then mean that it was a year before I returned to my education, but there really wasn't a choice. So I went on to work, and while I was at work, and my father was recovering from a severe heart attack, was at home, the phone rang, and Dean Kowaleski at the College of Pharmacy had called the house wanting to speak to me. And my father said, well, you can't speak to her because she's at work. And he said, well, why isn't she at the university? Why isn't she in class? My dad said, she doesn't have enough money. And he said, you tell her to come to my office tomorrow morning, and I want to discuss this with her. Well, I had never been called to the dean's office before. And, but I showed up the next day and walked in, and he said, well, after I spoke to your father, I called the head of the wives of Hamilton County pharmacists, who agreed to pay for the rest of my education. So to the women of Cincinnati, let me tell you how much I appreciate all that you do. Not that I don't appreciate what you gentlemen do, I do. But I just want you to know what an important role women have played for me in both my career and in my education. So thank you very much, and enjoy your evening.